Welcome to the Family Journey Show, brought to you by Finally Home. Each month, we'll be live with conversations between our Finally Home team and leading experts. Our mission is to provide you with the insights, strategies, and encouragement you need to navigate the unique challenges and joys of your family journey. Whether you're a foster parent, an adoptive caregiver, or a kinship guardian, this show is designed with you in mind. We'll be diving deep into topics that matter most to you, from managing big emotions and building strong family bonds to accessing mental health resources and advocating for your children's needs. So, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's embark on this journey together. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Welcome to the Family Journey Show, where support, community, and resilience grow strong roots.
Welcome to Finally Home's first Family Journey Show. This is where we talk about things that are important to families like ours, foster, adoptive, and kinship families. I'm Kristen Orphan, co-founder and creative director of Finally Home. We started Finally Home back in 2008 with a mission to first and foremost to encourage and equip foster, adoptive, and kinship families. My husband, Mark, who actually is one of our co-hosts today, we are foster, adoptive, kinship, and biological parents. In our over 3 decades of marriage and raising kids, I can tell you, we have been humbled, we have been overwhelmed, we have been isolated, we have felt stuck. We've also found wonderful community and connection and information through multiple people who saw our pain and chose to come alongside of us during key seasons, breakthrough seasons. One of those very special people happens to be our first guest today, but we're going to get to introduce her in a moment. First, I would like you to meet my co-hosts, Mark and Linda.
I am Mark Orphan. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Finally Home, and we are excited to launch this new offering to you. One of our primary purposes in doing this show is to introduce you to some great friends of Finally Home and of ours over the years that Kristen mentioned, not just people who have been significant in our journey, but people who we've met along the ways, who have been able to contribute in such substantial ways to the families that we serve and that we have served. We also want to provide helpful tips and tools to equip you on your journey. And there's a lot of those. We'll be talking about those in different episodes. We want you to know we want to be a resource for you, and we can be, and that is really our desire. You can access those resources by just checking out our website at finallyhome.net. And in there, you'll find information about how to reach out to us directly. It is our joy to connect with you in a personal way and to be a part of equipping and resourcing you.
And hello, my name is Linda Motter, and I'm the Family Support Director for Finally Home. And I have the great privilege of getting to introduce our first guest to you this morning. This is Kari Stewart, and she is our missions pastor at Timberline Church in Fort Collins. She is the wife to Jeff. She's the mother of 9, the grandmother of 9, and 6 of their children have joined their family through adoption. Kari is a very respected leader in the world of orphan care and advocacy. And as Kristen and Mark have both mentioned, she is a great friend and supporter of Finally Home. She sits on our board now for 9 years. Because of this vast knowledge she has and all of the years and experience she has walking alongside and mentoring foster, adopt, and kinship families, we knew she'd be perfect for today's topic. So welcome, Kari.
I'm so glad to be with all of you and so excited to be on the first episode.
So, Kari, today we're going to talk about support groups because oftentimes we hear you've got to get connected with people. You need support. Don't be isolated. And yet what we know is that there are always, healthy ways to approach connection, and also ways that tend to can discourage people, and maybe some of the reasons why people avoid something like a support group. So what we mean by support group is two or more people meeting regularly together for mutual benefit and support. So my very first question to you is, do we, as foster, adoptive, kinship, and on families, do we need to do that?
Yes, hands down. You not only need to do it for yourself, but you need to do it for your kids. You need to build community for them. When we first started our adoption journey, I was desperate to talk to other moms who were going through some similar challenges, maybe, because I thought parenting would be the same. I thought it would be the same as having biological children. And I was really naive. I didn't know that it was going to be different. And so when I saw another woman in our community that had children of different nationalities, I was so quick to go introduce myself and say, can we get together? And at first, I just didn't know what I was doing, but I was creating a support group just by inviting women to get together every month, just so we could share what we're going through. And most importantly, that our kids saw children of other nationalities in families. It was really important for me to just have that support, that encouragement that, hey, you're not alone. You're not the only one going through this, and it is different. And that's really, I guess, what was surprised me so much was that parenting was different. Parenting children who had been exposed to abuse, neglect, abandonment, they had issues that needed to be addressed differently than my children that were born into our family. And I was just learning what that meant to parent from trust. And when there isn't trust, how you need to do things different. And other moms helped me.
Kari, I love how you said that it was beneficial not just for you as the parent, but for your children. I thought that was really powerful, because we do often think of support groups as being like for me, and that's huge and important, as you said, but also that connection for kids to find other kids so they too can get support and just not feel just so different all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of funny. I didn't realize what was happening in that. You shared in the introduction that we've adopted 6 children. 3 of our children are Black, 3 are Asian, and 3 are white. And the only time that our kids saw specifically our children that are Black, they saw them with other white moms. So they didn't know. One of our sons didn't know that Black children had Black moms until he met a friend when he was, 4 years old, and it was a teen young man. He said, hey, can I take your son to go meet my mom? And we get in, I said, sure, of course, go do that. And we come back and we all get in the car after church. And anyway, we're in those conversations that come from the back of the van, those questions, those deep questions. I hear from the back of the van, hey, why did Chris get a Black mom and I didn't?
Oh, wow.
And then I realized that he had not physically seen Black children with Black women. So we had to change that.
Yeah.
So, but what it did, Linda, was these friendships that our kids made in those groups years ago, 25 years ago, they are still friends today. They've been encouragement to each other all through school, through college. They've been an encouragement. It built support for them at the same time.
Kari, there's so many benefits, and even as Kristen mentioned at the beginning, just coming out of isolation and coming together with people who understand this journey in some of the ways that you just described, and there's power in that and so many other things. We also know that when we bring people together who are in this journey, and many times are going to be in really, really difficult seasons and seasons that wound us, and that not just the wounds of our kids, but even as caregivers, that dynamics can occur in a group that make it a little bit more challenging to participate or to manage. So from the perspective of a leader of a support group or just a participant on the front end, what are some cautions or just things that you would encourage people to think about coming in as it pertains to the best kind of participation or leadership of a support group like this?
Good. Well, I'm going to answer probably twofold. I'm going to answer it from a leader perspective first. From a leader perspective, set ground rules. Got to have ground rules of how much is shared. A lot of times there's someone in your group who's always going to have a response, who's always going to move to a fix it. Oh, have you done this? Have you tried this? Have you gone there? Without really listening to people. Set ground rules about if you've already shared. You know, what I do sometimes is put notebook paper in the middle of the table if we're using tables and say, hey, if you have a thought you've already shared, please grab a piece of paper and write that thought down because it's important and maybe we'll get to it later. But I want to make space for everybody to have room to share. Setting ground rules of that we're not there to fix each other's problems. We're there to hear and we're there to support each other, to pray for each other and encourage each other. Because even though it is the most remarkable and most healing thing in my life to sit across the table from someone who understands where I'm at, the challenges I'm facing in my home. But we're all going to have different ways that we handle it. And our perspective and our experience drives how we lead other people. Now I'm going to switch seats. I'm going to move to the other side. I'm coming to the group. I'm new to a group. My husband and I are new. And actually, we don't even know what all we're going through. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you look at your spouse during a group and you go, we haven't talked about this, but I'm about ready to share it. Be really careful about what you share in front of a group that you haven't talked to your spouse about, because they might not be ready to talk about it. And it might be hard because you haven't come to an understanding together yet. And it's really hard as you start to navigate emotions. Husbands and wives, we're going to feel different about things. And one of us will want to be quiet about it while the other one of us will want to speak about it. So just go into the meeting knowing that you're going to hit some tense moments. And then I would encourage you, after you start getting in a group and you start feeling comfortable, as a couple, start talking about those things and have an agreement. Have an agreement about what you're going to share. Have an agreement about what you're going to share about your kids, because our kids' stories are personal. Sometimes we need to go deep with people that we are comfortable with and that we have trust with, but make sure we are walking that line safely for everybody.
Such good insight. And I think on the leadership side, Kari, I think it's so critical because I think it requires a level of leadership, maybe more than any other kind of support group, in terms of not just establishing those ground rules and expectations. And I love that. I mean, where things go awry when people don't really understand the clarity of expectations. And so to continue to reinforce those. As a leader,
add something, Mark, I want to add something to that. In a support group setting, after you've set the ground rules, as a leader, it is okay for you to step in and say, you just shared with us a few minutes ago. I'd like to just see if anybody else has another response. Mm-hmm. Sometimes as leaders, we think we set the ground rules and then we don't have the ability to enforce them. So make sure as a leader that you're enforcing it, because that's going to create a healthy culture in the group, because others in the support group are going to, oh, okay, this is under control. Someone's not going to be able to dominate. Someone's not going to be able to run it. So as a leader, you need to be able to set the ground rules and then follow through with making people hold those. And for one, I have never had someone say, oh, I'm never coming back because you could stop me from talking. If anything, they pause and they wait and they look and they go, can I share now? Or can I? So as a leader, hold the ground rules strong that you establish.
Yeah, I think it's so critical, and I appreciate you emphasizing that, because I think that we, people are truly, and we've experienced this, people are truly in pain, and they're in seasons where they need to
Yeah.
express themselves. And it's harder and perhaps more delicate in those situations to intervene and to lead in ways that we need to, for the sake of the whole group, but also for the sake of that person. And
Yes.
that
Yes.
we're protecting their dignity and the health of their participation
Mhm.
by leading ongoingly, even at times when those expectations begin to kind of get blurred in terms of their
Yeah.
participation. So really, really good.
Yeah. And I love that, because boundaries are loving.
Mhm.
And just a repetition of ground rules, probably every time that you
Yes.
get together, and just reminding people we're all here, and that it really, boundaries are protective for everyone. And then I think about those times, I appreciate what you said up front, that we come in with our own expectations, our personalities, and of course we enter a group in this, and we might feel pretty out of control in our home, and so we jump at an opportunity to help other people because we want to be able to fix something.
Yes.
Some of us are going to be more ready to answer everything, and others are going to be more quiet, and then that of course ebbs and flows. So I do appreciate that recognition and probably acknowledgement regularly. I think about those folks who maybe their natural tendency is to share or to want to fix or whatever. However, they're going to be going through seasons where, and again, I'm particularly thinking about those who would speak up all the time, who would be more on the optimistic, more on the fix it. They're going to go through times where they are really struggling. And so what would you say to people who their regular mode is going to be show up, I'm going to participate, I'm going to be a part of the healthy, just connection of this group, but then they hit a wall and they hit crisis. What would you say to folks who might not feel like themselves, and therefore think, you know what, I need to take a break. I need to take a pause from showing up to this group because I'm just not feeling like myself. I have nothing to offer. And so I think maybe I just shouldn't go.
Oh, that's so hard and so natural. It is a really natural response when you're going through hard. For one, you haven't figured it out for yourself. So you got this internal struggle going on. And you're like, why even go? But I think that's part of your communication as a leader from the beginning. Hey, you're going to have times. You're going to have times that you are not going to feel like yourself. You are not going to feel okay. Please keep showing up. Because one of the Finally Home teachings is we lean into each other. We lean into each other when we're going through hard times. And you know what? You're not part of this group because you have all the answers. You're part of this group because we're here to support each other. And when we are struggling, we need each other more than ever. And you don't have to say a word when you come. Totally okay for you to come, sit, and be. And you don't even have to say anything, but let us be present with you. There's nothing more powerful than being present with each other in our challenging times and our times when we're feeling pretty strong and feeling good. But someone in the group is going to feel strong when we're other feeling low, and we're gonna lean into each other in those times. So keep showing up. Don't stay home, because if you keep staying home, you are going to be running low. Your fuel is not getting filled if you are not just even being with other people and listening to what they're going through and just picking up a little nugget of encouragement before you go back home.
That's good.
I think that part, Kari, where you just said, let us pour into you, let us care for you, and that it is okay to show up with an empty tank and sit and say and do nothing, even if you're normally very active. Because I think sometimes we forget that there's as much benefit for other people to give to you as there is for you to give to others, right? You know, like there's this give and take in a support group, and you really are, when you allow somebody else to love on you and support you, it's such a gift for them also, as well as a gift for for me as a parent. When when things are rough, I isolate. It is such a natural tendency. All the feelings that come up, and the last thing you want to do is to go out and connect. But man, when you do, every single time I forced myself out of that isolation and connect with someone, even if it's just to like, hey, will you just come on a walk with me? It changes everything. Like God does something amazing when two or more are gathered, right?
That's right.
So many wise things that you shared there. Thank you for all of that.
Kari, one of our core principles, and I think it certainly applies here, if you look at the way that we support families, teaching, coaching, training, whatever that may be, is to be strengths based, because it's easy to kind of fall off that slope sometimes. But sometimes in this context, to really press in on staying strengths based, it could come across like, hey, just keep your problems to yourself. For this, we're just looking for solutions here. We're looking for positive things, and that's not the message that we want to send. But there is a way to take, even if the majority of our group is struggling with things that are really hard and really heavy, to maintain a strengths-based culture and approach to what we're doing. What are some specifics of how you navigate that?
Yeah, that's really good and a great point. Sometimes something heavy will come up in a group, and you can feel the energy go down in the room. And I think part of being a leader is also paying attention to what's happening in everybody. Be okay with taking that conversation out of that small group. Saying, hey, Linda, thank you so much. I heard exactly what you said, and I feel that pain. I have been there. I'd love to meet you for coffee and discuss this deeper. And I think we can have a better conversation without a whole group present. So don't be afraid to take that conversation personal, to keep that space, because Linda just had a moment where she was super vulnerable. You want to acknowledge that, but you know that your group's probably not the best place for that conversation to continue. So it's about paying attention to what's happening in Linda. Sorry, Linda, I'm using you as an example. But just saying, hey, I want to spend time with you and talk deeper about that. Linda feels heard, and you immediately after the meeting find time that you can meet with that person. And that's helpful for everybody, because you just set kind of a, oh goodness, what's my word I want to use? You set a guideline about how you as a leader are going to respond. It's safe to share deep things, but you're also going to set a safe boundary on how it's going to be talked about.
Good. Really good. I've seen you also, when it comes to this strengths-based piece, kind of keep focus on, in any given session of a support group, kind of keep focus on a skill or a set of skills, even if it's just to come into it and then kind of set the tone or a theme of a discussion around a particular skill, so that you've got that to come back to, kind of as an anchor. Describe that a little bit.
No, that is so helpful. It's okay, as a leader, you've got to have that, because if you don't come in with the anchor, your group is going to be all over the map, because everybody's experiences in the last week or two since you last met are different. They're all important. But if you have a topic, you can always come back to, hey, we're going to go back. Thank you so much for sharing that. But we're going to go back to our topic today of your, whether it's your voice matters or whatever, your strength that you're going through, but link back to that and then keep going.
Kari, thank you so much for that tip on coming in with a topic and an agenda, because I do think some of the feedback that I get a lot from our families is, oh, I tried this support group and I didn't learn anything. I didn't walk away with anything new to help equip me. I just heard everybody kind of complain. And so I think that's a really powerful tip. As a former teacher, that touched my heart, because the support groups aren't just for the processing of emotion, but we also want to walk away equipped, and empowered. So I love that piece. Is there anything else as a leader that you think really keeps you strong and, able to sort of stay in for the longer haul?
Oh, it's good. It would hands down be prayer. Prayer and preparation, prayer during the meeting. As someone's sharing and you're going, oh boy, what do I do? How do I respond? Simultaneously in my mind, I am praying. I'm praying, God, give me discernment. Give me words. Give me the capacity emotionally to be present with them, but also help me to direct our entire group. Because you're thinking about the person who's sharing, but you're also thinking about your whole group. So I think it's setting a foundation of prayer that carries through the meeting, so that it's constantly going in your mind, Lord, what is the best way for me to respond? How best do I close this conversation? And God will give you the words. He will speak into your mind and your heart, how to wrap that up, how to close it, and allow for follow-up with that person later. So I think that just that foundation and that posture of prayer and setting that tone with your team. And you know what? I'd like to even say, if you're at a time in your class that you feel the heaviness, stop right there. Everybody just pause and pray. And you might have people in your group that are not exposed to prayer, and that's okay. They can, participate however they want to, but take a moment just to pause, pray, give that content to God, and then go back to what you were doing.
That's a great reminder, Kari. And even Linda said earlier in our conversation here that scripture teaches us where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he's there. And, prayer is a conversation with God, and it's an acknowledgement that he is present with us in our groups when we gather together. And I like that reminder, because sometimes when we step up to lead something, we start to take on more than the Lord would intend us, more responsibility for the people. You talked about the power of showing up, the power of listening, the power of connecting. Linda talked about the power of vulnerability, and Mark mentioned being strengths-based. It's a balance, and often in this journey, it's the long haul also. We're not going to solve things. We're being obedient to show up and be connected in community. And all of these reminders have just been a real encouragement to me. And I would just say yes and amen and amen and amen. As we get ready to wrap up our conversation today, is there any other specific encouragement you'd give to someone today who's listening, who's feeling isolated, maybe even has tried to join community and possibly been hurt by it, because we're all humans, and that is something we open ourselves up to anytime we connect, the beauty and the struggle of connecting with other flawed humans like us. What might you say to someone who is feeling a little bit afraid of opening themselves up, and specifically to joining a support group?
Start small. Find one other adoptive mom that you can get together regularly with, and set a pattern with that. Then as you feel comfortable, grow it. But I would say, don't give up. If you've had one negative experience, 2, don't give up. You need the support. You need people in your life to encourage you in this journey. You were not intended to do it alone. A lot of times we say, I know God called me to this, and then we isolate and we don't share what's going on. Well, God didn't intend for us to carry this alone. He created community for us to encourage us in our yes. I always tell foster and adoptive families, this yes is the hardest yes you will ever give. It is also the most beautiful yes you will ever give. but you need community for the long haul. You are going to be in seasons. Kristen mentioned earlier, you're going to have seasons when you feel like you're on top of it. You have something to give. And you're going to have seasons where you're like, I'm not opening my door for a week. I'm not stepping out of the house.
Yeah.
But you've got to go. Keep walking, keep moving, get up every day with the intention that you're going to connect with somebody. Because you know what? I want to tell you, you're not just connecting them with them for yourself, but you never know what you're going to say that's going to be a word of life to them. You have it in you. It just feels buried right now. Keep going.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And the word of light could just simply be, I need help, because other people need permission to ask for help as well. So thank you all for listening, for trusting us by giving your time. If you want to start a support group in your area, Finally Home can help by providing some discussion content, some of those strengths-based tools, and even coaching on how to design your healthy group. We'll have all of the links in the chat and the description for you to view, or you can just check us out at finallyhome.net. Also, to find groups in your area, or even just starting with, is there an orphan care ministry at a particular church in my area, or what agencies, across the world, we always recommend starting with CAFO.org, Christian Alliance for Orphans. .org. It's a great place because you can literally kind of open up a place on their website where you're clicking your state, your area, and just start to see what is around you. If you want to connect with Kari Stewart, her Facebook and Instagram links will be in the chat. And that is all for this episode. We look forward to being with you next month. We are going to talk about school. School is getting started, and we're going to hear from a couple teachers and psychologists, just school counselors that can help you to advocate for yourself and to know what you can ask for and the kind of support that could be just what you need to have a successful school year. Please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so that you will get notified when we publish a new video. We'll be live each month for the Family Journey Show, as well as sharing additional resources in between that you will not want to miss out on. We're called Family Journey Show because all throughout these years, we use journey language because it really is that. We don't know what's around the next corner. We are not meant to do this journey alone. It changes with every season. And we just want to say, we want to be alongside of you in this journey. And we would love for you to be alongside of us because we learn from you as you're learning from us. And we invite you to connect in community. Thanks for joining.